Okay, so this is called A Book from the Sky and it is by a Chinese artist named Zhu Bing, and um, he is a Chinese artist. It was an installation piece that was originally shown in Beijing in the National Gallery, and visitors would enter a large room where they were literally surrounded by Chinese characters and walk beneath a 50-foot long printed scrolls hanging from the ceiling. And they also viewed 400 handmade books arranged in neat rows and tried to read wall panels printed in the style of outdoor Chinese newspapers. The sophisticated museum goers soon made an unsettling discovery. The exhibit consisted of imaginary words based upon invented characters. So Zhu Bing devoted almost 4 years to creating this installation, and yet it doesn't have any real words. So is this work meaningless, or is it in fact profoundly meaningful? So that's the first question to ask with that. The volumes on the floor and the books of the artist are hand bound in the tradition of ancient Chinese bookbinding techniques. The books create a sea of waves, maybe a tradition of Chinese landscape paintings. The Western viewers cannot tell what the text says, and to Chinese viewers, it doesn't mean it's made up. Because the Chinese characters are typically composed in a modular way, its different components are brought together in block form, and he reinvents this by using some traditional characteristics and inventing new ones and putting them together in totally different combinations. That means when you enter this piece, you are surrounded by tens of thousands of characters that don't say anything. Characters were printed with wooden block carvings he created, which is an ancient system of movable type, which began in China around 1050, well before Gutenberg's movable type in the 1400s. The characters were printed on wooden block carvings he created, which is an ancient, I just said that, sorry. In all, Zhu carved between 3,000 and 4,000 invented characters to approximate the number of Chinese characters in frequent use. Now, this is related to the Chinese history he lived through. He lived through the Cultural Revolution, which occurred in 1966 to 76, when he would have been 10 to 20 years old. And this was a period of time where Maoist ideology was enforced and intellectuals were targeted for re-education, and individuals were distrusted, and everything about the state and everything was about the state. He was sent to the countryside to create banners for weddings, parties, and funerals for Communist Party members. He was trained in the art of propaganda in art school and was expected by anyone involved in the arts at that time in China. These facts make this piece more interesting because there's no actual words. Given the characters themselves have no meaning, you have to look for meaning in the accumulation of characters. It surrounds you almost like propaganda that you can't get away from. This draws on both Zen Buddhism and Taoism, and the idea that enlightenment can be found in surrendering oneself to the emptiness and nothingness. Also, the timing matters. It was made at a time that China was opening itself to the West, and Western texts are being translated at a rapid rate. This symbolizes the flooding of texts. Additionally, this is around the time of Tiananmen Square protests, which occurred in 1989, which then ushered in a period of repression and fear. The themes addressed in the Book from the Sky is the value of traditional culture in a modern society, the reliability of knowledge, and the futility of existence. With this piece, he deconstructed the written word, negating the basis of Chinese culture while simultaneously constructing a solemn, dignified world where the familiar is invalidated. The installation suggests that we are in a library where you normally find knowledge, yet you will learn more by realizing the truth lies beyond what can be said, printed, and even shown. So he's showing that this is a masterpiece of a bookmaker's craft. It's a specialist in ancient art of woodcut printing. He hand carved each character, and that helps revive traditional Chinese typesetting, binding, and stringing techniques that had all been but lost. So A Book from the Sky is more than just an aesthetic and technical achievement. It's also a political and philosophical statement. On first glance, Zhu Bing's installation strikes most visitors as beautiful but nonsensical, kind of like Dada artists who protested the madness of World War I's assault on human life. Zhu Bing is protesting the Cultural Revolution's assault on language. To strike the written word, he warned, is to strike the very essence of a culture. So A Book from the Sky is a powerful condemnation of Chinese authorities who inundated their country with meaningless propaganda slogans. Seen from this perspective, Zhu Bing's meaningless work actually conveys a meaningful and timeless message. Freedom of thought is fragile and it must be protected. Okay, and that's A Book from the Sky.